Lethal Company and the Entities. It's going to be spooky month by the time I post this, so I figured I'd talk about a game. I don't play a lot of horror games. Um, Lethal Company is, I guess, the closest to horror game as I probably played the most on it. And I love a lot about this game. One of the biggest things is the art style and the entities and everything about it. Having just so many different types of monsters and whatnot roam the facilities as you're doing your daily task. It's cool, and I like the strategies that you have to employ with trying to avoid and or kill them. So I'm going to rank them all. How this is going to be ranked, I could probably put the list up of my how I'm going to rank them as I'm talking right here. As soon as my cat gets out of the way. Hi. Anyways, I'm ranking them off their design, how I feel they work in the facility or in the levels as you're, or outside the levels, I guess. How they work, how they play, how do you avoid them, how fair I feel like they are, how balanced I think they are, and just lore, I guess. Other things like that, just kind of how I feel about it in general. This isn't like any sort of, obviously, no way to like rank these competitively, but I just love the monsters. Probably my favorite thing about the game. Are you done? Probably my favorite thing about the game. So we're just gonna rank them real quick, and hopefully I'll stop yapping. Anyways, I got the wiki up, so I actually know how to pronounce these names yet, because I'm sure somebody will be like, actually, they're called the hoarding bug, not the loot bug. Yeah. All right. Looks like it's in alphabetical order here. Um, I think I'm gonna actually start with outdoor entities first because I think that would be cool. Plus, there's a lot more of the indoor ones. So let's talk about the outdoor entities and the daytime ones. I'll get some of the boring ones out of the way first because they really have nothing on them. Um, First up being the roaming locusts right here. These are really nothing of an enemy. They have lore, I guess, just being some of the nature wildlife local to a lot of the planets you go on to. They don't really have anything else to do with them. They just, yep, that's it. They don't attack you. You can't attack them. They do absolutely nothing besides just be there. So yeah, why did that move down? All right, I'm just gonna put them in D because I don't hate them. They just don't really do anything. Similarly to that is the manta coil, which I like it as well. Same thing. It's just cool. It's cool to see like there's something that's not necessarily super hostile out to kill you. So I like it in that regard. It gives some world building to the game, but I have no other opinion other than that. I'm just gonna move on as well. Um, I should say in here this list has some weird ones. I know this is Lasso Man. This is a unused model, and then there's I don't know what the heck this anime profile thing looks. I'm not ranking those. Lasso Man's not in the game. I've not played any debug, but I think it's just like not like fully released. I'm sure there's a way to like get the model out there, but I'm not ranking it. It's not in the game yet. This is obviously the most recent patch with the new entities. I think the newest ones that were introduced were the Maneater. So keep that in mind, I guess too. This probably will be outdated at some point. Maybe I'll do an updated. Who knows? Um, all right, other outdoor entities. Those are really the only two ones that are harmless to you. Uh, Ones that also don't really do anything. Tulip snakes. Honestly, kind of hate these things. But I'm gonna put them in D because I don't think they don't do anything on their own. They kind of more annoy you than anything. They make a weird sound that I swear to God sounds like a Paper Mario character talking. Like it sounds like a dialogue box straight out of them. Um, they don't really have too much of an opinion. If you get enough of them on you, they can lift you up and probably kill you. You can actually counteract that by having heavy enough items to weigh you down. More or less, you just kind of get in your way. They kind of clog up your visor. That's it. I think they're annoying, but I guess I don't hate them either. They're really kind of nothing. Like, it's almost like I haven't seen it run where I've died to tulip snakes. It's usually I have like too many on me and then I get killed by something else. So they don't really do actual direct damage to you though. So I guess they'll just be in D, kind of like the other guys here. Um, Another one here is the circuit bees. These things have a chance to pop up any moon, more or less, with a beehive here. And I think I'm actually going to put them in B. I'll put them in B. B. I'll put them in B because I like it. I think it's fun. It's a fun risk reward strategy. So the hive is worth pretty good money. It's usually up there in the triple digits. And the bees usually don't bother you unless you get too close to them. Then they'll start attacking you. Obviously, if you take the hive, they'll chase you. So bringing it back to your ship at the beginning of the day is basically asking your entire crew to die. However, at the end of a run, especially if you need to make quota, it can be super fun, super adrenaline pumping to try to like risk it all just to get the circuit bees. Or at least their beehive, and then they gotta chase you. I usually get like a squad of 2 or 3 people, one to pull the ship, one to grab the beehive, and one to distract the bees. Probably even die to the bees as well. I've had a few runs where I've been able to solo it, like completely like dance around the bees, grab the hive, get in there, and leave. That there's a few clutch runs I have on that, but that's very rare. There are very few times I feel like the deaths are cheap unless you get one of those really weird chances where you spawn, like the ship spawns right on top of a beehive. I've seen that a few times, but yeah, I don't think that's really common, and I don't think that's fair to hold it against it. It's just complete like a random chance to fuck you over. So that's why I like circuit bees. I think they're cool. Moving on, we have let's see, that's all the daytime ones that only show up in the daytime. Moving on to nighttime. Baboon hawks. I actively hate these fuckers. They hop around. They, I think, only gank you if you in groups. Like, they don't usually attack you if there's only one of them, but there's more than one, and a lot of times there are more than one. They will usually end up trying to gang up on you. Let me try to see how this works. I'm just gonna look it up here. Yeah, so they have a few more. Once they get a few of them, they start ganging up and just start to attack you. And they can kill you pretty quickly. I also feel like the amount of hits it takes to kill them also just doesn't really translate well. In terms of like lore or anything, I don't really have anything. They're just weird, hostile enemies that are more annoying than anything. Of course, out of the outdoor enemies, they're actually some of the harmless ones if you think about it. But I just think sometimes, especially with their high spawn rate and how they come in many groups, I don't really care for them. I think they're kind of dumb. And design-wise, I don't think there's anything special about them. So that's kind of that. Moving on, we have another very last one, the eyeless dog. So the dogs are very iconic in the game, I think, because they are one of the first ones that you probably encounter in a run. Because they spawn outside, sometimes a lot, and they will murder you. I think I'll put them in B tier too. I like the design. It is freaky if you see them. They will react to any sound you make from your microphone. And off that too, if you pick up an item, you turn on a flashlight, you drop something, they'll hear you. They will come charging at you and probably killing you. Of course, you can use sound to advantage. One thing you can do is like call the shop, lure them away. There's a couple ways to avoid them. Obviously, just being silent makes some dangerous higher level moons start to get sketchy, especially late at night when you don't know if you hear dogs or not. So you got to be crouching and silent, not talking to your team or coordinating anything. It sucks, but I think they're fair. But I don't necessarily care for the insta kill bite sometimes, because the reason why they're only in B is I've seen them glitch out and try to once they get into the ship, it's hard to get them out. So if one of your team members gets them into a ship, I think they kind of get stuck there because their model's pretty huge, as opposed to the ship cabin being a little on the smaller side. So I think they're B. I don't think they're like awful. Obviously, sometimes I get very mad when I die to an eyeless dog, but once again, a lot of times it is on you. Sometimes their deaths are funny though, or when you die to them are funny. Okay, another outdoor entity is the Forest Keeper. I'm gonna put them in C. I think design-wise, they're intimidating, they're cool, they're scary. I don't like how their line of sight is. I think they have a line of sight. They don't hear you or anything like that, but they have a very good line of sight, and it's very hard to break it, even in extremely forested places. They can catch up to you very quickly, and then the time frame it takes to eat you and swallow you whole is very short too. If you have somebody in the ship, you can teleport you back, but most times you just get eaten and all your stuff is taken with you. I don't know. I think this one's a little bit more on the unfair side, in my opinion, especially if there's a lot of giants, you are boned. Later, a newer enemy that we'll get to in a sec that kind of helps counteract some of these outdoor entities a little bit, but overall, I think there could be maybe buffs or perks to kind of balance out the Forest Keeper. I had a thought too, where it's like if you had a grenade, like a stun grenade in your hand, in your inventory of 4, if you get picked up by one, you have like a split second, a quick second to, hey, drop the stun grenade. Maybe it'll like drop you and then stay stunned for a few seconds. That way you can get out scot-free. Maybe make a book for it. And it doesn't need to kill them or anything. I just think it might be a chance because, like, how often are you going to be running outside, get caught by a Force Keeper, and you happen to have a stun grenade on you? And I think it's pretty not super high to make them, like, easy to avoid. They'll still be a threat, but I think it'd be a way to get out of them, because the only other way to get out of them, if you get grabbed, is to have somebody pretty quick on the button with the teleporter. So, yeah. I think design-wise, they're cool. Lore-wise, they're cool. I think they're alright. Another outdoor one I dislike a lot is the Earth Leviathan. I think this is one in desperate need of needing to get nerfed. So it is another entity that swallows you whole in one hit, and you lose all your stuff. The tell is a lot less. There's a giant red dot if you're watching on the map and from the ship. You can hear a grumbling sound of the Earth Leviathan. However, that means it's pretty much on top of you, and then you'll see the shaking of the ground, and it will eat you within a second or two. It's hard to see the radius. I maybe wish the radius was easier to see of where the Earth Leviathan will eat you, because I feel like sometimes if I've heard the sound, started going in the opposite direction, thinking I could like try to walk around it or something and still get eaten. All the guides that I see that says how to avoid it, I just never seem to find them helpful, as it doesn't seem to work. So I don't really like it, and plus it's just a giant sandworm. It's just really nothing super cool. I don't like it. It's kind of, I don't know, I feel like a lot of times the deaths just make you annoyed more than anything, especially compared to some of the other ones up here. So yeah, that's kind of it there. Moving up, we have Old Bird. We'll actually put them in B. I kind of like these things. They are freaky. I don't know, the sounds they make, you hear like crying baby, all these other sound effects that are going off. They get B alone for being able to wipe out baboon hawks, eyeless dogs, and the forest keepers off the face of the earth. Obviously, if there's more than one of them, they can start rocking like bullets and other missiles at you. Doesn't do a lot of damage, but the knockback is insane. They have a grab where I think they use a flamethrower and burn you alive insta-kill. They're very dangerous to get close to. However, I don't think they're broken. And I've seen many times in my runs where you can evade an Old Bird. At first, I wasn't sure how to feel about them. I almost thought they were like overpowered, but I think they just kill other entities. They go for everything, which is kind of cool, and I respect that a lot. Might even go by up to A tier by the end of this, but I'm putting them in B tier right now. I like how they are. They just work. They don't on themselves look creepy, but I like how you can see their husk sitting there outside the facility. You know they're going to probably activate at some point, and if you pull the apparatus, it will definitely set it off. So that's another thing to be wary about. So I like them. I think they're really cool. Honestly, just a good addition overall. Lastly, I don't think it's on here right now, probably because it got taken off for the time being. But the fox, why can't I think of the full name? The fox here, I just can't. I don't like the fox. I'm sorry. Fox design wise, out of everything else, the fox is super cool. I think its design is kind of awesome. The way it like hunts you down, tries to, it like pulls you into like the vein shrouds with like the weird shrubs that spawn to kind of signal it. It's like shriek it does is creepy. It's creepy as all hell, really. The Kidnapper Fox, that's what it is. I was trying to like scroll through and find its name here. The Kidnapper Fox is cool. I just wish it was not an enemy that did an insta-kill. It's an enemy that I feel like should not do an insta-kill for people. It's very hard to get broken off when you get the tongue. It also takes too many hits with the shovel, and also the shovel hitbox was weird. I think they took it off and it's temporarily going to refix it. So this is one that could change, like go up a few tiers. Because once again, I think design-wise and mechanics are cool, but it was to the point where you would spawn on a map and you'd be covered in vein shrouds, so you couldn't even get out or get back to your ship. It was annoying, especially on high-level moons when you're trying to dodge other things like dogs, giants, baboon hawks. They needed a lot of retweaking, so I don't want to like be too harsh on it because I know it's like kind of like a work in progress. But with my time with them, I absolutely hated them. So that's where I'm at. And I think that's everything on the outside. I'm going to skim through outside here, and yeah, cool. That's it. Well, kind of. There's the hybrids, but we'll get to that at the end because they're starting the indoor. So indoor, let's just do one that I'm having a little bit of not too much experience with, the barber. I'm gonna put him in C tier, and honestly, this one's gonna be a weird one because I just have little experience with the barber. Anytime I've tried to go into like mansions where he's at or stuff, you can never find him for the most part. Um, but he is invisible. He makes a weird, like, there's like a marching sound when he comes up to you, and then he's got a weird hitbox where he tries to slice you in half for obviously a kill. I think design-wise he's cool. It's obviously kind of creepy when you hear the sounds because I've heard it many times. I think I've either just left the facility or got killed before by a different entity before he got to me. Um, they're kind of goofy, but like once again, they're freaky in the context of everything else. I think they're just okay. Maybe I could change my opinion on them if I went a little bit more, but I've heard just from looking online that they're not too bad to avoid once you know how their attack, like their hitbox kind of is. So that's kind of where we'll stand with them for now. Moving on, we have probably one of the most iconic of the entirety of Lethal Company, the Bracken. And I think Bracken alone is going to have to go S tier. I suck at avoiding the Bracken. I have a room that I call the Bracken room. That's different from the one that everyone thought was. It's just one of the rooms in the game where I always get killed to the Bracken no matter how many times I go into this room. The Bracken is a very interesting entity. It follows you. It follows a player or two, hunts them down, and will continuously hunt them down until he snaps their neck and takes them back to a certain point that he designated. He does not like to be looked at, though, so if you look at him, he will slowly back away. You want to make a little bit of eye contact with him because if you stare too long, he will actually get enraged, jump at you, and kill you again. He pretty much cannot be killed for the most part. I think he might die to the shotgun, but how often do you have the shotgun, actually? It is weird because, like, obviously creepy. It's like Slenderman-y with like his eyes, not the eyes, but you know, just how he stands. Very tall, humanoid-esque dude. Also, like the Flower Man is the name there too. The big white piercing eyes is freaky. The sound it makes, like his like almost like the leaves rustling on him. All of it is freaky, and then of course you're just walking, and then you see two hands go above your face and then break your neck. He's pretty much one of the standouts of this game, and really kind of gives it its identity. I really like how it works. It is horrifying because it's more or less a creature that isn't just going to kill you. You could argue that other things are just doing it out of instinct, self-defense. This thing is just playing with you. Because pretty much you keep staring at it, you break its game. You're breaking... He gets annoyed that you're breaking his game, so he kills you out of rage. Because most of the time it's just a little hunting game for him. Because he doesn't stop. There's not a way to stop him. He just will go back and try to get you again. So you got to make sure you watch your back. Yeah, watch yourself, because the Bracken will probably get you and kill you. Moving on, we have the Bunker Spider. The spider is, and I guess it's got its own arachnophobia mode. It can die. Honestly, I think its damage is a little too high. It does like most of your hit. It usually will kill you in about 2 hits. It usually kind of does its own thing for the most part, like laying webs, but if you get into its zone, it will probably chase you down. It is easy to outspeed, however, you can run away from it unless you were just weighed down by a lot of items. You can die, or you can kill it, sorry, and then you can also break its webs, but I think that also pisses us off too. It's freaky enough. It kind of serves its purpose, though. I don't really think it's that bad. So it can stay kind of in C tier, I think. Just an alright kind of creature, all things considered. The Butler is another character I honestly haven't had a lot of experience with. But, God, I kind of hate him in terms of how he freaks me out. So his whole gimmick is he will follow people around eventually. He will be sweeping and doing butlery things. But the second he encounters a player that's alone, he will pull out a knife and chase you and stab you to death. There's a very loud tell. It's like a very kind of almost like a classical horror movie kind of sound effect when he pulls out the knife from his jacket and tries to chase you down. Other than that, he just harmless, gets in your way. You can kill him, but outburst these like bees. Actually, I want to see if I can pull up the name. They actually have their own article here, but Either way, I'm not gonna rank them anything differently. I'm just gonna put them with the Butler as well. They're like different type of bees that kind of are similar to the Butler, and yeah, I really don't have much to say about these things because I haven't encountered these because I've never really bothered to try to kill a Butler. You can get his knife, but then you have to avoid these. They kind of work similar to the circuit bees that they chase you down. Um, I think C is fine. I don't really have too much of an opinion on him. I think he's all right. Design wise, he's freaky though. God, uh, that's really all I got. But he could stab you very quickly. I think he, especially with the stature, he should be a lot slower. He charges you quickly, but it is what it is. Um, moving around because I want to get some more negative things out of the way. The slime Hydra deer, Hydra deer. Slime. It just is a giant puddle of slime that will follow you around very slowly. It kind of just gets in the way more than anything. If you touch it, you are kind of going to die. If you, especially if they're spawning it or like you jump in the middle of the slime. It's just kind of annoying. It's stupid. It can block pathways for the most part. I think you can kind of lure it with sound, like use the boombox if you want to try to do that. But how many times are you going to buy the boombox to bring it in? Similar stuff with a few other entities here. It's just kind of more of an annoyance than anything. You see that and you go like, really? Like, you're in my way now? And a lot of times you'll die to it because you're outrunning another enemy or something that's a lot more dangerous. So that's kind of where I'll put it for now. Another enemy that I just absolutely despise is the Snare Flea. This is one that, like, I remember a while ago I was ranking with my friends how I felt the deaths were, how cheap or funny I felt the deaths were. This was pretty much at the bottom of the, which it wasn't funny, and I just did not like it. Like some of the deaths, like Bracken, how many times you can die, like he kills you a lot more than the Snare Flea, but god dang it, sometimes it's just hilarious because he cuts you off mid sentence. If you're ever talking to somebody and then you die, it's hilarious. You can't hide it. Snare Flea's not. He just drops in your head, suffocates you, and makes you lose all your items. Um, if you're alone, you're kind of boned. If you have another person that can pick up a shovel or something and hit the Snare Flea off, you can just kind of kill yourself with it because the Snare Flea can go for multiple people, or you can bring it outside the facility if you're close enough because I think it also instantly dies there. However, you can't really see because there's just a bug on your face. I think it's annoying. I don't really think it's designed as anything cool to stand out from the rest. It's just kind of one of those things that I quite despise, and it's one of those mood. Not even. It's not a run killer, but it's a mood killer. Like you just run into a facility, a Snare Flea drops in your head, you're dead. You're just kind of like, cool. What the hell am I supposed to do? Probably nothing because you just give up and die. Yep. One of the only inherently harmless enemies is a Spore Lizard here. The Spore Lizard doesn't do anything immediately. It just kind of walks around. It has a very loud stomping sound, so your first reaction might be to freak out. It just makes a weird sound at you, kind of hisses at you. It can spray like a purple mist that does, I think, do damage to you, but it just chases you around and then just kind of backs away if you get close enough. It kind of like, what was like frilling lizards that kind of like flex on you kind of thing to scare you away. Once again, doesn't really do a whole lot. I think I'll just put him in C tier. He's cool, I guess, looking wise, but might even move him in D, honestly. C. I don't know. He's not bad. He's harmless. Another one that I think is awesome, the Coilhead. Coilhead works like a lot of other fictional horror entities. The similar ones I always see pulled up are Weeping Angels from Doctor Who, and then the SCP, I forget exactly the name of the numbering, the SCP that works like the Weeping Angels, where you look at it, it's still. However, you turn away, it will pretty much chase you and kill you. I'm putting in an A tier. That might go up to S too, because oh gosh, the design wise is freaky. It works, and the added effect of it being not just a statue, but like a coil on that, like the springing sound when you turn around and it stops, but the coil head part of it is still moving. It's something about that is freaky because this thing is fast. You get very, 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 very split reaction times to react if a coil head is approaching you. And if you're quiet enough, you'll hear its little pitter-pattering of its feet, but you got a couple seconds to turn around it before it kills you, because it will kill you fast. It almost, I thought for the longest time it was an instant kill, but no, it just hits you repeatedly very fast. I think other than that, can be balanced. Of course, you pair a coil head and a Bracken together, where one you have to stare at it, and then the other one you can't make sure you turn your back to it. Oh Christ. The Bracken Coilhead combo is probably one of the most killer combos in the entire game. Um, the coiling part, the spring sounds that it makes, all of its sound effects are just spot on. Its design is so cool. It's one of my favorite designs in the game too. And you know what? I like it. I'm talking myself up. I think it's another S tier for me. I just think it's fucking cool. um, all right, moving on. Let's do one that's a lot less deadly. Loot Bug, Hoarding Bug, technically. I'm gonna put him in A tier. I think he's just kind of like the mascot character for this, especially with the yippee sound too, even though it's not in the game, but everything else likes it. Um, he just walks around, does his own thing, collects loot, and then if you kind of steal his loot or get into his area or just do anything else to upset him, he might attack you. They're not super hard to deal with. They die pretty quickly. They take a few hits to hurt you too. They're not super hard to deal with, but obviously you can still die to them. They're funny. They're goofy. I like their little design. Of course, you might be freaking out because you hear a sound and then it's just them, and you're like, "Oh, it's just you, little guy." I've had one where it took my apparatus because I dropped an apparatus. I went to radio the guy on my ship, and then the bastard took my apparatus and ran away with it, which was funny. And we had mods on too, so he even made the yippee sound effect as he ran away with it. I just think these guys are goofy. Obviously, kind of like a weird tension breaker, but even then, I still think they can give you a jump every once in a while, just like all the other designs here. They're maybe not inherently scary on its own, but you encounter that in the facility when you're avoiding a Bracken, Coilhead, and other things that are actively scary. This thing is it can get you, that's for sure. Moving on, we got both parts of the Maneater. I'm gonna loop this in one. This is the newest entity so far. And honestly, I think a B tier. I kind of like it. So it walks up as baby form, the left one. It's baby. It comes up to you. You have to cradle it, shake it, if it starts crying, and if you do anything to hurt it, try to kill it, take it outside, it turns into this monstrosity and chases you down. It's freaky. The first time encountering it was insane. That's kind of really all. It's got some. I think we'll either get some tweaks or just find some new strategies to work around it. But once you see it, it doesn't immediately end your run. You can kind of have somebody hold it and like kind of cradle it to make it stop crying constantly. So there's a good workaround with it. It is another entity that insta kills, which can be annoying because there's a lot. However, I think it's all right for now. Design wise, it's cool. Kind of just works with the rest. So, moving on. Let's do Nutcracker. I think I'm gonna put him in C tier. So Nutcracker marches around, and then it'll stop in his little eye, which is like the actual entity part that looks around. And if it sees you moving, it'll probably shoot you or anything like that. It's funny, its shotgun can kill you, but it also doesn't insta kill you. Its kick does so. So if you get in melee range and it hits you or kicks you, you're done. I kind of think that's bullshit, which is why it's in C tier. The rest of it isn't too bad. It is freaky, once again, with everything else. It does this march around, it stops, but it has like a specific like clicking sound where you know it's looking around. If you are lucky, you can apparently take a shovel to it, hit it, and then steal its shotgun. I've never been able to do that in a normal run. Only use the shotgun in mods. And then the shotgun is freaking broken. However, you get limited shells, so it's very, very hard to use. But, take it or leave it. I think it's alright, though. Moving on, I'm going to put probably the most negative one here, and I think it's the Thumper. Thumper, design-wise, is kind of interesting. It's just like on its kind of like no legs, just kind of crawls around and makes a thumping sound. This thing can charge you. Depending on where you're at, you can avoid it pretty alright. Other times you are screwed. It is fast. And that's kind of, it takes a lot of hits with the shovel. Honestly, I kind of think this thing is a little bit too powerful for its own good. From the entities that you can actually take care of and kill. I prefer not running into this. Sometimes if I walk in and immediately see a Thumper, that might just be calling it shots there. So, however, you can, especially with some of the newer updates like the spike traps that fall from the ceiling, there are ways to actually take it out and kill it. Having it run over a landmine can be, it's very rare it does that, but like it's still able to. I don't hate it. So it stays at F tier, but I'm not really. I could take it or leave it for sure. down to our final three. I think we're going to talk about the Mimics next. Mimics as design-wise, I'm going to put them in A tier because they are, once again, I think some of the perfect ways to design it. They're hard. Don't get it wrong. And the only reason they wouldn't go up in S tier is because I still think they take way too many hits to kill, considering that you can kill like your own teammates in like 2, maybe 3 hits. These things take like 4 hits. And then they can grab you and it's all over. And they're also stun. Their knockback when you hit them with the shovel or something like that is minimal. Basically, the ways to fight it is kind of annoying. But it is freaky, especially in an unmodded, because everyone else will most likely be wearing the orange suits. They will walk around and seemingly do tasks, but you can get a way to call them out. Obviously, they're not acting normal. They won't respond to you. Something's up with them, and then sometimes their movement's weird. If you look on the map, they have a little spin. They're just basically spinning the entire time, so you can tell if somebody's a fake that way or if they got infected. So they'll show up on the map as extra players. However, if you're carrying a mask, you put it on, or you die with the mask in your inventory, you can turn into a mimic, or if you die to the mimic. So it can multiply very quickly. There can be 4 of you, and then there's like 2 or 3 mimics inside. They can also chase you outside too, which is even freakier. I think overall, they are an entity to be scared of, and I think it's a very good thing to keep yourself on your toes. The fact that they're at this point really one of the only 2 that can technically follow you from 2 different inside and outside. They work. Once again, maybe I don't think maybe change, if I could change one thing, maybe like either the way it could be defeated or an insta kill. Maybe they could just slowly like hit you until you die, obviously, but maybe that would defeat some of the effect of it. But oftentimes I go unarmed anyways, so fighting inside the facilities unarmed, so fighting a mimic would still be a bad idea for me. And technically they're called masked, I should say that. They're the mask, and then they inherit a body. I think that's the word. Yeah, I don't know. Alright, lastly, 2 of the most deadliest entities I saved for last. Not really intentional, but yeah. I'm going to put Jester, I think a B tier. So, the Jester walks around like that you see in the box, and it just doesn't do anything. You can't kill it. It doesn't harm you. However, it might just stop and start cranking its soldier boy. It cranks, pop goes the weasel, and once it starts getting a lot more faster and sinister, it pops up and this creepy, fleshy skull thing comes out, chases you down, and kills you. One shot. It locks into the nearest person's location and will hunt everybody down who's still left in the facility. The only way to reset it is everyone to leave and they have it reset. A Jester is a run wiper. It will end your run. It will end a mission. If you see a Jester early on, you're fucked. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Jesters are one of the toughest enemies and one of the freakiest enemies to just avoid. There isn't really any way to avoid them. They will find you. There's no way to hide. They lock onto you. I think they are obviously, once that happens, it does suck. I think that's why I kind of want to keep it out of an A point for me. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm thinking too. I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm fine with Jester being in B tier, because I think I'm going to put Ghost Girl in A tier. Lastly, Ghost Girl is one of the other ones. I kind of associate Ghost Girl and Bracken to be kind of like the 2, well, horror icons, obviously, aside from like the Hoarding Bug. But the Ghost Girl just feels like the spirit of the spirit of Lethal Company. The Ghost Girl is really only showing up on the high level moves for the most part, and it is once again one of the freakiest encounters you get. You are walking around and you may just see a Ghost Girl. She's just sitting in the background. It'll start fucking with your audio and some other things. You'll start hearing heavy breathing, laughing. It is nightmare-inducing, to say the least. I think it targets the player with the most paranoia, which is kind of a stat that the game decides based on a few features. I get it a lot because I think one of them that enables it is to turn around a lot constantly, and I am one that constantly watches my back for the Bracken, so I'll be doing like flips, turns around all the time, and I think it likes to target me that way. The Ghost Girl has a mode where she picks a target. Only one target can see her. So then you can get gaslit by the entire rest of the crew into thinking that she doesn't exist. We'll start messing with your audio, visual, stuff like that, and we'll get into a mode where she starts skipping at you. She'll start skipping towards you, and eventually she'll skip at you and kill you. Your head just pops off clean. Yikes. And then that's the only time somebody will see the Ghost Girl's effect, because they'll see you're with your head popped off. And then it'll target the next person, and the next person, and the next person. Honestly, if you get Ghost Girled early on, the best thing to do is maybe stay on the ship, or something, and just kind of stay in a place where we can find your body. That way, yeah, it sucks when you're in the middle of a facility run and then you suddenly see a Ghost Girl, even though you know one of your friends got a Ghost Girl. So you're like, oh, they're dead. Cool, fuck. Just the unsettling, weirdly hyper realistic kind of face it's got going on. At least hyper realistic with like this like PS1y kind of graphics here. It's unsettling. Everything about it is just super cool. Part of me wants to put it in S tier too, because I just think it's awesome. I just kind of wish I got to see the Ghost Girl more. It's kind of a fun entity to encounter, because you're not instantly fucked, but you will be fucked. It's such a weird, it's a weird thing. I guess a lot of these are like that, similar to the Jester too. I just think the Ghost Girl's a little bit easier to deal with. I think I just like how the balance is better. And yeah, these are the actual ones, because I'm once again not ranking these two things. So this is my Lethal Company thing. Honestly, it's kind of skewed more to the bottom. I didn't intend for that. So let me see if I can do some touch-ups real quick. I think I want to put Ghost Girl up in S tier. I'm going to put Old Bird up in A tier. And I'm even going to put the Circuit Bees up there, because I like the Circuit Bees. And then I'm going to put B for Butler and Spoiled Lizard, because honestly, he's just such a neutral dude. And Thumper's C. There. I like it more balanced that way. I think that's a little bit better. I was saving a lot for some reason. I love this game. I like the entities. That's kind of all I got on this. So if you like this, let me know. And I might do this if they ever come with a revision with a few more entities in there, or just throw a new list in here. I'd like to actually talk about the game officially, but for now, just figured I'd do a quick ranking for Spooky October month. Other than that, that's kind of all I got. Pieces. Bye-bye.